One. Hey everybody, it's Brandon here on Sunday night, the 23rd of February. We are what I believe is about to enter the third week of Boom Boom Boom. And the Q post says that the weekend coming up will be Suicide Weekend. So we'll see what happens. And of course, the following Tuesday is the what you might want to call the address to the nation by Donald Trump to both houses of Congress. So I think we really are in the pointy end of things. So as we are hearing all the good intel about the RV and things being imminent, I've shared with you guys a number of times that I've always felt that the 25th was the start date due to a number of connections I have, and it's looking that way. And I had it confirmed again today that 25th. So let's see what happens, which is 26th Australian time. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll start with my usual weekly update, and then we'll get into the big presentation from Gena. So with that said, I'll do a screen share. All right, and now I've got to find you guys. This thing always moves me around, and there we are. Bring you guys back over here. And okay, away we go. Right, yeah. Okay, so tonight, as we know, is going to be all about Medbeds and about how you guys, if you are actually running a Medbed project, looking at the kind of things you should be thinking about when you develop your Medbed project concept. I know that Gena's been working on her Medbed Centre for a number of years, and she's very well advanced. So tonight will be, I believe, a lot of fun, and she has got a really good connection with the Alliance. So I'm looking forward to hearing her latest downloads. Okay, so for the huggers, our call tomorrow is tomorrow night and on Tuesday morning Australian time. That call is designed for the international guests within the huggers. We're doing a play shop, and a play shop is basically where we talk and imagine things. And this one is about the holiday syndicate for the huggers, where I want you huggers to come to the call with links, pictures, ideas of the places that you want to go around the world and enjoy and explore and have fun with. And what this will do is it'll create a really good database of potential places that we'll go as huggers, and also to opportunities to purchase holiday venues for our syndicate. So please come armed with your links on Monday night. Oh, tomorrow night, this time. Okay, I believe this week we're due for a trust call with Trish and Doug. Now, it's normally every fortnight, so we didn't have one last week, so I'm assuming that is this week. And that being the case, I'll put the link out on Tuesday when I normally get it to remind everyone that the trust call is on for this week. This week, for those who are local in the Southeast Queensland area, our lunch this week is down at Mermaid Waters Tavern. We had one just last week at the Boathouse. We alternate each week, and of course, we just shared before off recording that we had a very successful lunch down in Melbourne. So all these lunches are going to form the basis of a whole program where we'll be able to network and collaborate with humanitarians all over the world. So I will be presenting some major updates, not next Sunday, the following Sunday, because it really does take us to the next level when it comes to rolling out these humanitarian hubs. Okay, next is again next Sunday. This time next Sunday, we have Kim Robinson, who has been working with us for about a year now, presenting topics of interest. The last 7 sessions has been on our true history, and now she's starting a whole new topic, which is a journey back to you. So that'll be this time next week. So I'll put the links out. It's the same link every week, guys. So people go, "Where's the link? Where's the link?" It's the same link every week, unless it gets compromised, which it does happen sometimes. Okay. Now because we've got a lot of people joining the Alliance group. We've had something like 600 people join the Alliance group over the weekend. So for a lot of people, it's like, well, what is this group? How does it differ to everything else? It's a humanitarian group. So our focus is on humanitarian projects. So I want the content in that group to be focused around, obviously high energy, where we're going in our future direction. We don't need to see really negative posts and so forth. So maintain a high vibration. Having said that, this coming week we are going to see some pretty nasty stuff with the Epstein list and Diddy and so forth. So I acknowledge that, and that needs to go out. But ordinarily, I would much like I would much prefer things to have a nice high vibration. Okay, so the other thing I'll talk about is business plans for your project. Now, if the RV happens this week, then time has run out. In that I've always promised that I would keep writing business plans for people's projects up until the RV. So if you if you're really keen, and I won't be writing any post RV because I'm focused on the next stage, which is obviously enacting these projects. So I've got 14 projects all up that all interrelate with the hub and such. But if someone is really keen, message me directly, and I will get cracking and hopefully get it done before the appointment. The other aspect is what's the other thing I was going to say? Um, and it's my tongue. Projects, the groups. No, I've lost it. Okay. Next. Well, next is this. My presentation's done. It was pretty short and sharp. So now what we'll do is move on to Gina. So I'm going to unshare, and then Gina has got a presentation ready to go, and she will share. And while she's doing that, I'll just put this out. I mean, Gina's been with the Hug Group almost, well, yeah, pretty much since the inception, really. And early on, when I was writing humanitarian projects and started writing, yeah, yeah, I wrote her project based on 57 pages of remarkable information. And it was the most thorough project, although long, that I've ever seen. So I was able to condense it into something that is probably more appropriate as your first show as such. But it's amazing what Gina has put together and the network she's created already for her projects. We talk a lot in the Hug Group about, not sitting on your hands just waiting for the money, but actually doing things to get yourself ready for when the money does flow and you hit the ground running with your appointment. And last weekend, when we did that call about post RV, the first 30 days, 60, 90, we had such an amazing time last week. We only got through literally half the slides, but there was 2.5 hours of content, which has had a tremendous amount of views. So I'm thankful that people have gotten that message. We were able to actually redo that the following day with the Huggers call and got through all the slides. But that call was just for the Huggers. So I don't think we'll have time to redo that or to continue that session as such. So we'll just have to hit the ground running with what we have. So what did I say that for? I was talking about slides project. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to hand over to Gina, who's going to present to us an amazing presentation. Take it, Gina.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good morning to those who are at different parts of the world, and hello. I'm sorry if I speak a bit fast, but there's a lot to get through, so I'm going to try and hurry a little bit. So tonight we're talking about med beds, the most exciting thing that is going to come to humanity. It truly is. That will change the way we are, the way we think, everything about us. So it's so exciting. So tonight's discussion is going to be about you, your staff, your centre, and your community, as well as we're going to throw a little bit about security and sustainability, all that kind of thing. Now, I'll see if I can, I've not done this before. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is going to be hard because I think some of my words behind bits, but we'll get there. So it's kind of like some of it's put into the second, third tense. So I'm talking about myself, not myself. So what I wanted to say to you, first of all, is that I'm not claiming that the information I'm giving is channeled. It's definitely not channeled. And I certainly do respect all other intel providers. I acknowledge that all providers have their own sources, which often appear to be different and differ from person to person. And this is really important because sometimes it feels like it's almost contrasting. Something will be said, and then you look into it and you sort of get a contrasting answer. And it's not to say that the other person is wrong. It's just that your source is different to theirs. So the following information that you're going to be seeing has been verified by my contacts in the Alliance. They've actually told me they're standing here with me, so that's got a little bit of well, there's a group of them, but they've supervised and they've given me advice for this presentation. So their first advice when I was talking about everything, because it was quite a big lot of things to talk about, was to put everything down on, just brainstorm it all down. And then they said, put it all down and then we'll help you out. So 2 o'clock this morning, I was panicking. I couldn't sleep. And finally, they actually said, just do a PowerPoint presentation. And then straight away, I went off to sleep and woke up this morning thinking, I've got to do that. And it's made it a little bit easier. Okay. So I became a medical intuitive 16 years ago. It's actually over that now. And since about 20 years ago, I suddenly started sort of being flung into waking up in a different way, not so much to vaccinations and things like that, but the spiritual awakenings. And I was given a lot of amazing encounters, things that I had to learn on the run. So I became a medical intuitive 16 years ago. And because of that, the way I heal, I was constantly communicating with my higher self and God. So then from that, it was sort of a natural progression for the Alliance, the celestial and military. And I regularly speak to Palladians and other beings of the light. Um, Over 2 years ago, I actually went through a massive upgrade. And the way I used to do my healings, which were long, used to give out full written reports, it all changed. And God stepped in, and I became an ambassador for the Celestial Alliance. And since that point, I've actually done over 1,300 free quantum healings. I assist God, so I'm kind of like his lucky laborer. And he instructed me for a long time regarding his living crystalline substances. So now everybody gets that. They get connected up to the crystalline grid surrounding this world, the galactics and beings who are here on this world and off-world. The Alliance just told me this week that one of my roles right now for this current time is to dispel fears and doubts. And I think really that role's probably gone on for probably 2 years. And I've just never actually clicked that that's what I was doing. So that's why I would go to them when I noticed or I sensed people in fear about things. And they would explain to me in such easy, so calmly ways as to what exactly was going on. So I kind of feel a bit better now. I actually understand what they wanted me for. So everybody that's on this call, I want you to know that you've got what it takes and you just need to believe and you will succeed. That's what it comes down to. Whatever is in your heart, whatever that passion is what is driving you. You wouldn't be here otherwise. So that's actually really exciting. So tonight we're going to talk about med beds. Now, there's 3 different types of med beds that we're going to specifically talk about. The diagnostic and treatment med beds, regeneration med beds, regression and rejuvenation med beds, toxicity cleansing stations, which will be new to some of you, and some advanced technologies. So it's pretty exciting. Okay, so you're here to guide others and to be part of humanity's recovery. Let's get this job done. So the thing that probably drives me almost the most is I want to right the wrongs that have been done to humanity. I want to fix up all of those terrible, terrible things that we've been subjected to. So this is our way of doing this, and it's a massively wonderful way. Okay, so what is a humanitarian? Someone who knows the value of human life. Now that's actually something that probably not many humanitarians realize. If you don't value and know the value of human life, you can't do this work. It's not possible. They practice benevolent means to do good. They provide assistance to other beings to reduce suffering. Now, this is really important, the reducing suffering. Um, and then I've lost my word, but for all basically conditions for humanity. The Alliance has told me that humanitarians and Telegram plus other social media groups, we're just small in proportion to the final numbers who will be drawn into doing this sort of work. So we're really little. We're like in that goldfish bowl compared to the sea. So what they've said that there's a huge number that are actually currently sleeping and they don't need to be involved in all of this and our roller coasters and everything else that we go through with all of this. They're kind of like already prepared. They just need to be woken up and then put to work. And they'll be doing that once their time is ready. So welcome to this new world that you are creating. The most important part of all of this right now for me to ask you is, what is your vision? So the first step for you is to dispel, just like I'm dispelling, you need to dispel what you are not. And then you need to embrace who you truly are. So being here, you're admitting that you are a creator. And a creator is going to make this world such a better place for humanity to thrive and flourish. When you think about it, if we don't thrive and flourish, what happens? We end up in a stagnant pool draining away when it gets dry. So every person, I don't know if I can get rid of all these bits. Every person in our world will be able to use med beds. There are no restrictions, none at all. So this is really important because I've had people say to me over the years, oh, if you've been vaccinated, you go to the end of the queue. If you've been this or that, you don't get to have a treatment. That's actually completely not true. Every single person will be able to use a med bed. And the main reason I'm saying that is that the med beds themselves will change every single person. Even the ones with the biggest, greatest hearts, they will change them. They will make them even better. They won't make them worse, always better. But due to their need, each person will be triaged, but everybody will receive treatment. So please always remember that it's not about whether we're spiritual, whether we're whatever. This is a truth that every single person, it's their right. And this is part of righting those wrongs of humanity. Okay, so there's no judgment when it comes to med beds, and only hope that each of us will fulfill our highest good and consciousness to lead a joyful and rich life. My motto is to be happy, healthy, and content. So often I'll say to myself over and over and over, I am happy, healthy, and content. And that's all I need. Because when you think about it, if you're happy, you're healthy, and you're content, there's nothing else you could need. It doesn't matter about abundance. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter about anything. It's the happiness, the healthiness, and the contentness. That's what actually matters in our lives. So this part is very personal just for you. What I would like you to do is to make a list of all your ailments that you would like to heal. I want you to look at your physical side, spiritual, emotional, psychological, your mental. I want you to look into past traumas, those wounds that you've occasionally get triggered on, and then life. So what I've left in life with all the little dots afterwards, this is really important because day by day things happen. And triggered is the right word for this. We get triggered by things. We get put into positions where we're caught between that rock and the hard place, all those things. Those are the things that I want you to look at. And you've got to list them down even to the smallest detail. Nothing at all. Don't forget anything. Just put it all down. It doesn't matter how much there is. Another thing to think about are the genetics in your family history that could be investigated by the Medbed team. So those genetic issues can actually sort of carry through in generations. So if you stop them now, then you're stopping that ancestral line of issues. Consider what you'd like to look like. Now, my daughter and I had a bit of a fun thing probably 18 months or so ago. I was sitting there folding the washing at the end of the bed. I had one of my little parrot birds on my shoulder. And we were talking about this, and she just took a photo of me. And then she used our friend, the artificial intelligence, to play havoc. And funny enough, I ended up looking quite amazing, a little bit like a brunette Barbie doll. But I'd take that look. Anyway, she looks like a really sweet girl next door. She didn't go as many layers as I probably needed to go. But the thing is, what I'm getting at is that you can actually choose in many ways what you would like to look like. But my main thing that I want you to consider is think about maybe what your basis of yourself, your identity looks like to you. So instead of becoming that brunette Barbie doll that's on my screen, look for something that's a little bit more normal, a little bit more like you. And and sure, I want to have greener eyes. I think that would be lovely. But things like that. What height would you like to be? All those sort of things. Now, the big question is how would you like to feel and you do and be to live your highest potential? This is so important because if you don't have that in mind when you're working out what you need to have healed, there's no point in going through this exercise. So find out what it is in your heart, what you really, really, what drives you, and then work out what the person that you truly deserve to be looks, feels, acts, and is. Okay, so what skills do you like? To be a better communicator, mediator, manager? Do you need to fluently communicate in other languages to fulfill your role? Brownie, I've got something about that for you later on. Are you self-aware? Do you recognize your existing skills, your strengths and weaknesses? What new knowledge do you require to fulfill your dreams? Cultivating gratitude now for what you have to assist you moving forwards. And before I forget, with that new knowledge thing, so with Medbed centers, it's we will be able to actually go through a Medbed and literally have the all of the workbooks, everything, know it back to front, left to center. You could just about pull it apart and work on it if you needed to. So we can do that. We don't actually have to go for months and months and months and months trying to learn all these things. We can actually just download them straight away, just like a computer can. And we can actually have it in a way that our own processing can take over looking after that information. So this is really important to, you don't want to start becoming like an encyclopedia. And I will get onto that later. And that's part of Brownie's thingy. Because the more that you try to put into your head right in the beginning is an awful lot to be able to process and work with. So do what you need to do as far as the knowledge that you think you need to fulfill your dreams, just because you can go back again. If it comes to the crunch, if you need something else, you can go back again, but just don't overdo it the very first time. Okay. I don't know why I'm getting funny. Are you getting red lines on the screen?
I'm okay. Whoever is doing that,
Somebody's marking them.
I will kick you off. It's hard to know who it is.
I thought it might have been me.
Nothing you
No,
don't. It's and I believe I've turned off whiteboard. But yeah, come on, guys, chill down. Go on.
That's okay. All right. Now, this one is not what I'm meaning for you, Brownie. We're going to talk about weight loss. Now, this is not for you. Not intended for you directly. Anyway, okay. The core reason for weight gain will be addressed during before and after programs. So this is the biggest part. There's a reason why we gain weight. And so that reason will actually be addressed. For our first Medbed treatment, though, the maximum, now this is really important for you to know, the maximum loss permitted will be a maximum of 25% of our body weight. Now, that's an awful lot of loss, and I'll go into this a little bit more. So it's all in perspective of what the person, how much they weigh in the beginning. So this is where it's important. So to keep in mind, maximum. It's not the minimum, but the maximum is 25%. So if you imagine a 70 kg person, 25% of their body weight brings them down to 52 kgs. That may almost be too light for them, depending on their frame, whatever. So they may opt for 15 or 20%. 100 kilogram person, less 25% comes down to 75 kilograms. Again, it might be just that little bit much. But then 150 kilograms, the 25% of their body weight drops them down to 112 kilograms. That's probably quite okay for them to a borderline. It's almost a bit much. But what it is that they will, 25% is a large amount, and most people will probably be offered a safer option of a smaller percentage for their first treatment. So that's the important thing to know, that you can't go more than that. So not for their first treatment. And the main reason, if I go on to it, the main reason, no, we're going into avocados. The main reason is that our bodies need to adjust. It's really, really important. So everything that is going to happen to us in that med bed, it's going to take a month for our cells to readjust afterwards. Um, so if you're thinking about a large amount of weight loss, there's a huge amount that the body actually is not just physically, but psychologically, all of those things, mentally, many, many aspects that they've got to get their head around. It can actually be dangerous if you lose too much weight. So I think they're actually having a maximum of 25%, but that's not the norm that will probably be offered, is actually a good thing. Okay, tattoos. Do you like my tattoo picture? If anyone says they do, I think it's a wee bit of a worry. But during the medbed treatment, the patient can elect to have existing tattoos removed, or they can remain. Now, that might be really lovely, this particular one, but the piercings, I found some absolutely strange looks, and I thought I better not put them in because they actually might really be something that people in here love. So I thought, no, I think I'm safe with the avocados, that they're not the greatest. So it gets the point across, but you can keep them if you want them. Okay. Now, if you have allergies or sensitivities, note them down. This is really important for when you're going, well, before you go through that, have it all written down. And I've got lists. Honestly, I do. I think I'll be in there for days. But something on my list is that I would like to ask that my skin no longer burns, so that I actually have my own inbuilt skin protection. I think it would be really neat to be able to tan or to not tan, whatever it is, but not have a worry that you're actually harming yourself. Now, this is the funny bit, fitness and athleticism. I'm not going to ask for a body that can compete in the Olympics because I've never been that way, but I would like to feel fit, have great balance, have better bone structure to offset fractures because I tend to be able to break bones reasonably easily, and have healthy tissues and organs. So why I'm telling you this is that you need to be realistic about what you're going to ask for. So if you're like me and you're not an athlete, it's going to be really quite a test to be able to transform you into that athlete. So just be aware. Skills and talents. Get rid of that one. Be mindful regarding how many languages, and now this is for you, Brani. Be mindful about regarding how many languages and increased brain activity you are asking for in the first medbed treatment. So our bodies will need to cope and adapt to so many changes, physiological and non-physical. Social changes are going to be immense. So the Alliance has advised us to consider carefully about how many new skills and talents, etc., we request. So again, you imagine that because I've heard many people say that they want to know every language. They want to have the whole lot downloaded. But what the Alliance is saying, if you download so much, it's almost like we overdo our brain's capacity in many ways when you're already dealing with all these other changes. So what they're saying is that if you're thinking of going to Paris or Italy, something like that, choose those languages. Or if you're going to be working in those countries or any other country, choose those languages. And then later on, when you've settled into a new norm, literally, you can then go back through medbeds and get top-ups and get other things added. But just maybe stick with the languages that are going to be important to the roles that you're playing right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to not burn you out, that's all.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So we are all humanity. So you notice I haven't got many pictures because I had too many words. I thought I'll have too many slides if I have too many more pictures. But we are all humanity, and let's make a truly positive difference. And honestly, every single one of you can make the biggest difference to an enormous amount of lives. So that's really exciting. Okay, so let's get on to regeneration med beds. I like this one. So this is where you're regrowing limbs and organs. After the initial medbed treatment, there is a time frame for rescheduling regeneration treatments. Now, the Alliance have talked to me a bit about this because I actually have a prosthetic knee, leg. So they've actually been over the 2 years, they've been saying to me, you can't just go in and have the whole lot done at once. It's not going to work like that. So what they've explained to me is that we have to have the initial medbed where we go through and all of the general things that are wrong with us are literally put right. And in that month, you know how I said to you that needs to be a month for the cells to regenerate? So then we need a month for our bodies to just calm down, to learn what we are now, to sort of the new us, and for those cells to regenerate in their own forms so that they're actually happy in this body. And then at that point, after that month, you will be rescheduled for your regeneration treatments if you need them. So the regeneration is just for people who have lost body parts, had them removed. It's not for the general public who, I don't know, maybe they want to get their ears enlarged. I don't know. But it's specific. It's really important. So with the regeneration beds, no one at all will be turned away from this treatment. They will be prioritized in an initial triage system after serious and critical cases. So once they're into the system, they are guaranteed that they will be able to have their limbs or their organs regrown and regrown within one sitting, unless they have multiple issues like me. But we'll get to that. So, depending on the extent of rebuilding being performed, and you've got to remember that this is rebuilding, we are completely renovating ourselves in a beautiful way. The time duration will last approximately 1 hour to 3 hours for the complete treatment. As I said, as I have a total knee replacement, I've been told that this procedure will take 3 hours. They've told me that it's really quite interesting. I used to be a nurse, so I love this kind of thing. And so what they've said to me is that the metal that's in my knee will actually be melted in a way that it won't harm the other tissues around it, and it'll be sort of sucked out, literally sucked out, and then the bones will be literally like a 3D printer will be built, and yeah, and then tissues around them. So as I've got weak tissues, that will all be rebuilt too. So it's a reasonable procedure. So 3 hours is not unforeseeable. I also lost my colon and a large amount of bowels a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago now. And so regeneration for that type of organ or organs will take 2 hours. And then because they have to rebuild the organs and they have to reconfigure the internal organs. So if you think about it, you can't, if you're missing something, they've got to rebuild it. And literally then it's the whole internal mechanisms need to be put back together again, and and everything has to work. So it's quite exciting. I'm looking forward to eating onions again. Okay, regression and rejuvenation med beds. Now, this is the controversial one that gets people stuck. This is the age regression. And now you've noticed I've got has. So this has to be done after the patient has had the initial diagnostic and treatment med bed. There's a very, very valid reason for this because the person's body will change quite drastically after their first med bed treatment. And at that point, there might be a number of people who are actually really happy with their new them. So the fact that they're actually feeling happy, healthy, content, everything's working beautifully, they actually may decide that they're happy in their own skin and they don't need to do at that point an age regression. It's not to say they don't have it later on, but they may go for a number of years, perhaps in their own skins, literally their new body as it's been built through the medbed treatment, and then look at doing an age regression. I think I've covered that bit. So age regression. Now, this is the tricky bit, and this is where the mathematics have to come in. And I need to get rid of that one. It is not going to be offered to everybody. So it's different to the other med beds. You actually have to apply for this one, and there have to be kind of valid reasons why you have your Medbed, the age regression. So what you're going to be given is the first treatment is going to be 10 to 15 year span that you can go backwards literally. So it's the reason they're doing that is that 10 to 15 years is a way that the body can actually accept its new self. Whereas if you go further back, if you said, say, went 30 years, that's really drastic. It's so much more wear and tear and everything else that's gone on in that body. We are different in that period of time. So they said the first 10 to 15 year span is more acceptable for the body and for our minds, literally. So it's going to be easier for all involved, family members, everything, workplaces. For some people, they can apply for the next 10 to 15 year span afterwards. Whether they're accepted or not is going to come down to technology actually testing them to ensure that the person will truly benefit from reducing further in their age. So it's not going to be it's a case of filling out a form and going and doing it. They said that for some people, the actual intention to do it could be harmful to them. So the technology that's going to test them, it'll be AI, will be able to sense exactly what the motives are and whether they are actually good for the person on a long-term basis. I know that could be controversial, but in some ways it's actually kind of like being looked after in some ways as well when we're doing something that we maybe not knowing we're doing or the consequences. So the third span of 10 to 15 years will be much more difficult for treatment to be authorized. I've been told that one scenario which would merit to reduce further years would be when a person's been harmed badly. And from the consequences of that, that's reduced their quality of life from then on in. So you think about a young person that may have been involved in a car accident or something when they're young and their life from then on changed drastically for them. So in that situation, they may be, it's a good case for them to be able to have that third one and go back and actually have a redo of their life, put things right for them. There are social ramifications for large amounts of age regression too, and much responsibility needs to be used to care for all of us. So this is a really quite a controversial thing, and we do need to really consider, what the consequences are. Now, I like this one. So I have a very dear friend. She's 80 years old, and we've talked about this. In fact, she rang me this afternoon. We talk several times a week. And this beautiful lady, I was talking to her about how she would feel about these increments. And I said to her that her first time could be 15 years, bringing her down to 65 years. And then if she's granted a second maximum increment of another 15 years, her new rejuvenated age reduces to 50 years. And she said that she would love to be 50 years ago again. That would be the perfect age for her. So it may be in a situation like that where, because she's actually a humanitarian and she has projects to do, she would be a very valid prospect to actually have the two layers and drop 30 years. But that's where she would be happier to stay. And I think for many people, it may be, it's going to be a personal choice as to how far they go as well as being permitted. Okay, so here's the maths. So the younger the person is, the smaller the increment, and they may just receive one treatment. So if you've got a 60-year-old person, you're allowed basically 15 years, which would bring you to 45, or 10 years, which would bring you to 50. So a 50-year-old person comes down to 35 or 40. That 30-year-old person, if you just think about them, if you tend to take 15 years off, that's going to bring them down to a 15-year-old. And unless they've got a really decent reason, they're probably not going to want to do that. So the younger they are, the less the increments that they need to even worry about, but they'll also be offered. And this is some consideration that we all really need to think about, because for years now, we've considered that we could drop to any age, but really, what age would you really want to drop to, at the end of the day? And that's important. So you need to think about these things now so that by the time you do get to go through those beds, you actually have a clear idea of what you want to be afterwards. It's important. Okay. I get rid of these funny things. One consideration that needs serious thought is for our Indigenous families, the Indigenous peoples. So medbeds are going to be a challenge that some find hard to accept, and it's not just Indigenous for this either. It's many people will be scared of them. But in Indigenous wise, elders and prominent representatives will be utilised to provide a sense of safety and reassurance. These people can accept a number of smaller, they'll be offered actually, but they can accept a number of smaller regression increments, but there'll be more of them. So they will be subtly changing. They'll be getting just younger and younger, kind of like, how you see with a photographic lens and it just brings a person younger and younger by a little bit. So by doing those subtle changes, those people will see positive changes, but they're not frightening and they're not seeing a totally different person suddenly appearing in front of them. So it's almost like a ghost of their former self. So I think that's actually quite a positive step to consider for not just Indigenous, but for others as well. Okay, so one possible solution is to weave medbeds into healing stories. I do that. Not just for Indigenous, but for all. So many Indigenous people inspire others through their own storytelling. Stories show skills, coping mechanisms, plus knowledge to open up the unknown. Introducing medbed healing stories may help those people understand how they also can overcome their problems and completely heal. So it gets rid of fear. There is an increased trust for others who are further on in their journeys and have a better understanding. So it's actually these stories will be our stories as well. And this is how we'll have the before and afters. And it's actually going to inspire so many people, our communities. Toxicity cleansing stations. Now, I love this one. And many of you won't know about the toxicity cleansing stations. I know that Brownie's changed them a couple of times to different names, but because the Alliance talked to me in this name, I've stuck with this one for this conversation. So the Alliance spoke to me regarding toxicity cleansing stations over 2 years ago, and they are an advanced technology and they should be rolled out the same time as medbeds. They have a totally different role. It's eradication of toxins from the body, including vaccines, bacteria, parasites, and they're acquired through breathing, through inhalation, absorption, ingestion, and they promote overall wellness. These things could actually be the game changer, I think, going forwards. These stations are straightforward. They offer quick, efficient, and non-invasive methods to remove toxins and harmful substances from the body by eliminating toxins, parasites, bacteria, all non-beneficial substances. These stations enhance how the bodily functions work. They improve our health, our mood, our vitality, and they may reduce the need for more intensive treatments. So when there is going to be waits for medbeds, hopefully the toxicity cleansing stations will be in, and people can go through those and they will instantly start feeling better. It's going to make it easier for them to be able to wait for their time to go through a medbed. Now, you imagine somebody who's possibly lost a leg, but they're reasonably healthy, so they're going to be triaged a little bit further on for a medbed. And so in this situation, the toxicity cleansing stations, they can go through them, they can actually feel better, which will put them in a better state of mind to be able to then go through and have their medbed treatments. They can be standalone healers or incorporated into medbed centres. The scope for toxicity cleansing stations are literally endless. The technology can be utilised within sporting facilities, theatres, stadiums, shopping centres, gymnasiums, airports, resorts, apartments, office precincts. The options literally are endless. The more you think about where you could put these wonderful, wonderful things, they're just incredible. The Alliance likened them to walking into an airport security scanner. They said the entire process will only take seconds and assist humanity to live with increased health and wellness. So it's going to be a situation. You imagine you leave for work and then you enter your working building through one. So everybody else has done the same. So your actual working building is safe. It's clean. You do your work. You might go to the shopping centre. You go through one as you're leaving or even entering and go home. So a lot of the apartment buildings will have them as part of their access, and there'll always be another way to get in. You won't have to go through these things, but they're going to be absolutely game changers. They're fabulous. Okay, advanced technologies. Even those of us who are expecting many new technologies will be amazed and wowed by what is coming. Now, this is just one thing that the Alliance have told me about, that we're all going to receive a home first aid laser type wand. And this gadget, it's about, if you figure that long, from what I understand, is literally going to be able to save your life if you need it. And then as long as someone can access the device, so as long as you're not home by yourself, you fall off a ladder or you kind of drown in the pool, you're trying to think of scenarios. As long as somebody else can actually access that, the wand will actually save your life, stabilize you, and it will also notify the emergency services and send the correct responders really quickly. So it'll do all of that. Now, they've said with AI that down the track, we'll actually be given an upgraded version of this, which, if we choose to allow it to do this, it can actually sense our vitals. And if there's something wrong, it will automatically call for help. Okay, so where are we now? Go away. There we go. Your staff. Welcome to this new world that you're creating. What is your vision? Now, this is really, really important. What is your vision? It's all about vision. And that's why my project became what it was. It was just visions, and then those visions built upon the visions. The first step is to dispel. Don't you love that word? Can I get rid of this? Yes, here we go. I love that bit. The first step is to dispel what you are not and embrace what you truly are. And you are a creator. As I said before, you are a creator. You're creating these things. You're a visionalist. A creator who is going to make this new world such a better place, enabling humanity to thrive and flourish. Yet again, you are part of the staff in a way that you might not have considered. So many of us, when we think that we're going to be doing all these roles, we don't actually consider that we are part of the staff, but we are, because we're leading the vision. We are leading in many ways, whether we have humanitarian funds or however we're going to be doing it, we are still the one that leads that vision. So you have to be an effective communicator. You have to lose, now this is so important, you have to lose your 3D conditioned management thinking. You need to be a collaborator. No more I, as in many respects, as this is going to be a team effort, but you will be the visionary. So there is an I in that respect. It's actually got two I's, but you are a team, and you need to think of it as a team, but you are the visionary. And that's really important to remember. Do not let go of your visions unless you are replacing them with something even better. So it's so important, because those visions were given to you. You felt them, you made them become, and so they need to actually be brought to life. So the only reason that you would let them go is unless you're replacing them with something better. Oops. Oh my God. I'm in trouble. Okay, here we go. Sorry. This is my first time doing one of these like this. Last time Brownie did it for me. So as far as the Alliance have said to me, and this is the advice I took, do quiet personal brainstorming to realize your potential as a 5D and beyond leader. Now, why I put beyond is that I don't believe in ceilings. So the moment you say something like, I'm going to be a such and such, you put a ceiling and you encapsulate yourself, you box yourself into that. So if you say that a 5D and beyond leader, that way you're not sticking to one level. You can actually use other layers, other dimensions. And that's actually really quite important. So it's, oops, as a creator with no limits and just pure love. So think of yourself as a 5D and beyond leader, creator with no limits, just pure love. If you start to doubt, that's when problems come in. So just know in your heart that you can do this. This is really important. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. Have a vision of what you want to achieve. Where will it be? Who will it affect? What are the positive outcomes that will occur? Consider, and this is actually important, and this is what I'm going to do. Consider initially hiring an expert who can be your proxy if you're not available. Someone who you trust, admire, respect, who can mentor you so you can actually learn from them and work with you to achieve your goals. So initially, I was thinking of a CEO type of person, and I actually do have somebody in mind, but and they are a CEO type of person, but you need to hire somebody who you can work with, who you trust, and who will allow you to that vision to grow. So they've got to work with you as a team. You will quickly need to organize the following meetings with the Alliance or their spokesperson. So this is after that button's pressed. A security advisory team to do all your background checks on prospective employees, as well as providing security advice for personnel and business needs. Even get them to double check that you have hired the right person to be your proxy. But the Alliance is also going to help you with this. You then need a CEO to oversee your project. You'll need a legal team. You need to get it right first time. You don't want to be floundering. You don't want to be, oh, I should have done it some other way. You just want a good team to behind you. A wealth management company, including paymasters. So this is really important. But you need to hire people that you trust, people who have got the runs. That doesn't sound right at all. Don't hire people that have had no experience unless you really feel they are the right ones in your heart. You need to hire, if your project is a project that needs help, you need to hire the people that are going to get you there. Human resource company, you need a high quality one. And again, you don't just want to have anybody and everybody. You want the right people in your business. Buyer's advocate if you need to acquire land. You need to organize the structure of your organization. Now, this is so important. Who is going to be on your board if you're going to have one? How many department directors are you going to require? How much empowerment are you handing over and to whom? So this is so important because this is your vision. If you're just going to just basically put your vision out there and let it go, no good. So you need to drive with your vision and get it at least beginning and started, and then you can step back a little bit. But in the early stages, you really need to give it a lot of oomph. Once you know the size of your business, many of the questions that you will have will easily find a solution. So the size of the business is important. The Alliance will assist us all in many ways. We're definitely not alone on this. There will be helpful, oh gosh, oh, gone away. There'll be guidance and support for them. So they are there to support us. They look at us with love. They're kind. They're calm. They've never ever spoken to me without love. That's always I love the way they talk to me because they talk to me as if you're talking to a friend, but in a very wise friend. So with my centre, fun uniforms are going to be fun. I'm actually opting for professional, comfortable corporate white uniforms for all employees. So everybody, apart from grounds people and maintenance, are going to have white uniforms. They'll have a logo and a name which will differentiate each employee and what they do there. So I want it to look clean and polished. White is actually nice and casual, and we're not going to be, I used to be a nurse, and we're not going to be doing the dirty work we used to do. So and with replicators and things, if we do, there's always a replicator that we can quickly lift up another uniform. My security personnel will actually also be dressed in white. They, as I said, the maintenance ground people, they're the only ones that won't, but they'll still be given smart, comfortable uniforms. Employees will be given very generous remuneration. They'll be respected and given every opportunity for self-advancement and skill improvements. They will also be given as many hours work as they choose and will receive 1 week's vacation each year. The vacation length, and that's for free, The vacation length will increase depending upon the length of employment and their position. Volunteers will receive pay for the hours they work as well as other employee benefits. I do want to talk to you a couple of times about volunteers because these are important and something that often people aren't thinking about. It is advised to either join in with your community to begin a volunteer hub, or depending upon the number of volunteers needed, you may wish to start up your own and then link it with others in your community. The volunteer hub connects individuals with volunteer opportunities within their community. So you can get a number of different organizations, and the one volunteer hub can actually, where a person just goes in, they might be interested in one field or another, so they can actually put their interests in and they can find out who's looking for somebody, how many hours, which days, and then they can just apply and turn up and work. I think I go into it a little bit more here. That's what I've already said. There's actually software now that does this. So we don't even have to invent it. It's going. So there are software for volunteer businesses, software that can actually interface with your own HR software. So it shows actual hours worked. Now, this is important because for me, I'm going to have my own volunteer hub, but I'll connect it with our communities. And I want to be able to pay my volunteers, and they'll be paid in remuneration, and they'll also be paid with benefits from the project that I have. So if you're combining with other community organizations, this increases your volunteer base and gives you more options. It's important. So volunteers are something I really want you to consider. So your center, what is your vision? Futuristic buildings, are they going to be earthy or natural or something completely different? So you have to work out in your mind just roughly what your center is going to look like. What feel do you want it to be? Now, it's all about size. And no, I don't mean it that way. The minimum specified by the Alliance 2 years ago was 7 med beds. And I know that seems a lot. Initially, 3 years ago, when I started looking at this, I was thinking, oh, we could just do a number of people with 3 med beds. But what the Alliance have told me is that it comes down to logistics, staffing, facilities, security, etc. And I'll go into this with you. It's important. So 7 med beds is what you need to aim for. 7 med beds actually have between 250 and 300 staff, depending on the services that you will provide. So lesser services still need to be catered for, but they can be supplied off-site through community collaboration. So if you're not wanting to go into the really largest size of your 7 med beds, with, say, Allied Health or any of the other ones, you might be able to collaborate with community organisations. So in a 7 med bed centre, what it looks like, 5 diagnostic and treatment med beds, 1 regeneration med bed, 1 regression and rejuvenation med bed, and 3 toxicity cleansing stations. Are you going to include a birthing centre? Now, this is one of the ones that actually came to me. Funny enough, it was actually after I did my initial project talk quite a long time ago on here, and somebody was talking about their birthing center, and I thought that is such a good idea. That is really, really good, and it's needed. So it's something that you need to think about because you are going to have expectant mothers. So if you are going to include a birthing center, you need to have an inpatient wing. And you're going to need one anyway, but you need a specific one for maternity. You'll need medical staff to care for mothers and their babies. The medbeds plus other new technologies will provide the requested level of pain felt during birth, with greater participation for each mother, while providing total care for mum and the baby. So I remember probably 3 years ago, one of the talks with the Alliance, they were telling me that there's actually, and we haven't gone back there yet, and I will go back into it with them. There is sort of a bed that you can lie on, which is not a med bed, but is something in the base that you're lying on that for a pregnant woman that completely blends with the baby and her. It removes all the pain that she's going through or going to be going through. It calms the baby down. So the whole experience is actually really, really lovely. And it's completely safe. They said that you'll never ever lose a baby, you'll never lose a mother with using this particular technology. So it's something that I'd like to find out a little bit more about, and I will go back into it. So if your community is not going to have a natural birthing center, I think it is advantageous in many ways for you to consider having one. And it's not going to be that bigger extra when you consider what you're already going to be doing. Okay, are you planning your center for 100 years? Now, it's another controversial one. Some people say to me they're only doing for 10 years because technology is changing, all these things. But at the end of the day, you need to, if you're setting this up, you need to make it so it's sustainable for at least 100 years because people are going to be living longer. Yes, technologies are changing, but you still need to be able to assure that community that that facility is going to stay open. So what I want you to do is if you are planning your center for 100 years, focus on now, but also keep that open mind on future technologies. This next one is a strange one, and maybe it's my nursey thing coming out, but when it comes to your Medbed center, cleanliness in your center is going to be of the utmost importance. It's really important for the upkeep of all technologies. So this is the Alliance speaking, and also to maintain high standards for all who visit or work there. That's me speaking. You need to aim to be green wherever possible. Being self-reliant for power usage, water, and daily needs is optimal. So the requirements for a 7-med-bed centre. You need a reception area, call centre for appointments. This is important. You need waiting rooms, several of them actually. You need several for patients and families to provide privacy and peace. So peace is underrated. It's really important. And so in a situation like this, where it's a lot of unknown things happening, peace is actually what's needed. Each waiting room requires a coordinator, so a staff member who has full access to updates regarding the patient's progress. So every single one will have someone who actually is tied back to whatever the treatments that that patient is going through. Pre-procedure rooms times 10. So this is for the 7-med-bed centre. The pre-procedure rooms by 10 is a minimum. 14 is actually better. So before the person goes into their medbed appointment, so you've literally, they're going to probably actually meet in, first of all, with a doctor, nursing staff in a smaller room. Then they'll go into the pre-procedure room and get ready for their appointment. So you want to be able to have a duplication of rooms so that you're not doubling up, because that's a time-consuming part. So you want it to be able to be free enough that any questions, all that sort of thing can be handled in those rooms. There's going to need to be 7 medbed procedure rooms. Now, each of them is approximately, at least 60 square meters. So it is the size of an operating theatre. It is quite large. Post-treatment rooms. Now, this is actually, I believe, the most important part, apart from the med beds, in the whole complex. The post-treatment rooms are very important, as this is the first place where the patient can come to terms with their new body and persona. This is really important. So you might find that they'll stay there longer than any other part, because it's a big thing. You will need 3 times the post-treatment rooms for every med bed. So in total, 21 post-treatment rooms. Now, I know that seems a lot, but when you think about it, if you've got somebody who is literally coming to terms, you can't just say, okay, you're finished, off you go then. It's not going to work like that. So you need to get them so that they actually leave in a state where they are completely at one with who they are now, or at least mostly, as much as possibly can be. They need to be settled. We need to also be sure that they're okay, that everything's right. So those rooms you need more of them because of the length of time that they're going to be taken up. You need to also consider whether you're going to have specific pediatric, adults, and Indigenous areas. Now, the next one is important also. You also have to have, and this is have to have, emergency triage rooms for accidents and emergencies. So this is kind of like your A&E wing. These are specialized rooms with advanced technologies and you need 3 to 10, depending on the size of your locality and other services being provided. So if you're in a town where there's going to be other facilities, things like that, you can probably get away with the lesser. But if you're more by yourselves, if you are a go-to place for ambulances and things like that, you really need to think about going to at least 10. And so it's important to consider that. Inpatient accommodation. So you need to provide a wing at least. So it's short-term rehabilitation for before and after treatments. You've got to consider the needs of quite a population. It's not just a case of popping them in their med bed and off they go home. So you've got eventually they're going to be amazing, these people, but in that stage there it's actually a serious thing what they're going through. So you've got to look at aged care, palliative care when they're at the last stages of their life and this is their last chance of survival, complex care when they have multiple problems and injuries, detox and dependency, maternity, mental health, pediatric, post-treatment specialist care, and general rehab. So you really have to have a wing so that people can actually go there for a day or two before they go back into their communities. It's important. So medbeds are going to dramatically transform the lives of so many, and we need to pay special attention to their care both before and after the treatment. Otherwise, we're almost setting some people out to fail, and that's not what we want to do. Um, are you going to provide medbed preparation and rehabilitation programs in-house and at their homes? I certainly am, and I'm looking forward to that. So the medbed preparation side of things it's actually that's the easiest part. And it's almost going to be some people will just go online and fill it out, and others might go and see somebody and find out what's going to happen and what will happen and what they can expect. But the afterwards is the important part. That's the rehab programs. And so that really needs to be done in-house or at the person's home. So you want them to be able to get the best possible outcome and longevity. It's important to do that. Would you consider having your own remote service? I kind of love these ones. So have portable med beds and toxicity cleansing stations, trucks servicing rural, remote, and small towns, which are further away from larger facilities. One of my goals in my project, if they're still available, is to take over the Queensland breast screening trucks, the whole fleet, and convert them into medbed centres, portable ones with the toxicity cleansing stations, and they will go out to the rural, remote, the small towns, the farms that are a long way away, and they'll have a full team with them, but it'll be like a mini team compared to what a centre can do. But the Alliance have told me that there are med beds that can actually be adapted for travel. So yeah, they've given me the full blessing for this. So this is actually something that even people, if they didn't want to go down a medbed track, might consider doing something like this and actually having a fleet of their own to service those areas that are more rural and remote. Yeah, and this is kind of exciting, this one too. Another option is to have your own emergency helicopter or large drones that are fully equipped with med beds, toxicity cleansing stations, and replicators. They would be an emergency response team and be able to access difficult locations or remote areas. I love this one, and I would love people to take this on even as a project because they could be the first responders when there is a natural disaster, and there will still be natural disasters. We may not have any wars and things like that occurring from our own doing, but we do have galactic things that do go on and, lightning strikes, all sorts of things. So there will always be natural disasters. So having first responders in a situation like this, I think is really important. So run with it. Go and make this a project of your own. I think it'd be great. Okay, your community. We're getting there, guys. Who can you collaborate with? Collaborate means to work together for the greatest good. It's a win-win for all involved. Collaboration with other humanitarians can be done in small or larger ways. It can be as small as providing training options for other humanitarians projects. This can make a massive difference with little effort. And one example is that with my own project, I have a friend who is going to have a fabulous, her humanitarian project is going to be up in the hills. She's going to have a whole settlement, almost like not a commune, but just a community up there. And she's going to provide services for disadvantaged youth, children, teenagers and things. She wants to help get them back into society, give them a life and give them their self-worth and do all that sort of thing. So what we're doing is that she's actually going to feed them as they wish to come through my project. And so I can then help her by giving them skills and work placements. So it's really good, and we can do that so easily. We don't have to do it in a huge way, but something so simple as that it means the world to both sides. Okay, did I get there? Yes. So with the introduction of medbeds, communities will flourish and reduce sorry, I just get these bits. I have to remove them, otherwise I can't see. With reduced illness, improved mental health, and a strong sense of unity and happiness. Your centre will empower individuals to live their dream lives. It frees them from debilitating health concerns. And you have the ability to create a paradigm shift in healthcare where individuals and communities experience renewed health, enhanced well-being, and a profound sense of happiness. How good is that? It's really special. So work with local community experts, professionals, and bring them into your centre for training and establish yourself as a good corporate citizen. Try to liaise with other community organisations within your own locality and further out to other cities, regions, even other countries, because we all learn. We learn so many and we receive opportunities which are so valuable for all involved. Either set up or collaborate, join with others. This is the volunteer thing again, to establish a volunteers hub. It is important. That's why I put it in twice. If one's already there, it means that you can add your centre to their database. You get more volunteers. Ongoing marketing will assist you to find and retain valuable volunteers who will enhance your centre. These people fill the gaps that are often left open. Cherish all volunteers as they are worth their weight in gold. Enough to your organisation. Consider offering business grants. So this is another one that could be a project. Offering business grants for a few community citizens who are working within the health field and who would really appreciate business mentorship and financial assistance. This is a one-only business grant which offers the recipient financial support plus business mentoring via a specialist business coach. We're going to be doing that for a few people through our project, but we won't have anything to do with it. The business specialist coach will actually look after that person. And I think that's pretty exciting. So it gives them, anyone with a struggling business, it just gives them that lift and maybe sets them in that new direction. Okay, security and privacy. What does that even look like? Well, for us, it's going to be a lot more subtle than we're probably imagining. As time goes by, security risks from the public will lessen due to more and more people going through medbeds and changing their entire perspectives on what is right, what is wrong, and what they're entitled to or to take action about. This is important because at the moment, life is not great. There's so much crime, but it's going to change. It's going to become more peaceful. In the beginning, we will all need the highest security levels. All facets of our centres will have to be protected. And I'm not going to say Fort Knox, not right now. I thought that was a bit of a funny one. Artificial intelligence. Now, we have to work out what we truly think about artificial intelligence. This is important because it's going to play a major role whether we like it or not, especially for our security and data protection within our centres. Whether we consider AI to be a friend or a threat, we will need to embrace it, all of it. And because it can offer protection for our facilities, it can offer technologies or protect our technologies, personnel, patients, and their families. This is paramount and must be a serious consideration for all. We will be utilising military-grade security staff who are trained in both physical and data security measures. This training will include biometric access and surveillance systems, the Centre's advanced access control systems, ensuring that only authorised staff and patients have entry to sensitive areas, crisis response and emergency management. Security staff will be trained to handle all emergency scenarios. Patient protection to ensure all have vulnerable conditions will be given a priority. AI is going to be fully utilised within my own project, from surveillance within the complex, the car parks and facilities, to monitoring who is within the complex at any given time. It will be subtle but protective for all of us. Having a call centre enables services provided are done so via a predetermined appointment. Access into the premises for appointments will not be the same as those who simply walk in, such as in emergency situations. Their entrance will have further security, as the pre-clearance security checks could not be carried out. This gets a bit of fun. All glass will be bullet, shatterproof, and will have security sensors built into the glass, which will notify the AI security system of any failure or breach. Security guards, ours, will be dressed in white and carry hidden weapons, which will be used as a last resort. Now, this gets a bit fun. They will carry a neutralizer laser, which will incapacitate their opponent but not harm them. They will also have AI-assisted surveillance instructions to notify them where and when there is danger, and then they will be given the most effective instructions as to how to diffuse and rectify that situation. Doesn't that sound good?
Mm.
If required, security personnel will assist patients when they arrive to go to their appointments and then return them back to their transport options. It's envisaged that security guards are regarded more with curiosity or curiously and with respect rather than in fear of being provoked. So there is no way that I want our security guards to give that feeling of fear. I just want them to actually have respect. All surveillance will identify any potential threats from weapons, both physical and biological traces. The system will instantly notify security personnel that they need to be on a higher alert. Depending on the size of the centre, if the building is built as a standalone, it may be advantageous to have an underground system for staff, security personnel, logistics for movement of consumables, equipment, etc. Various offices may assist in the layout, well, this is down underneath, and workability for that section. If you're building a section below, or if you can't do that, if you can't build a section below as an option, then please consider designing a separate area to house all administration offices, security, etc. By doing this, you're able to maintain a professional and calm environment throughout the centre. Now, this is another important one I really need you to think about. The media will need to become our best friends to assist us in offsetting any fear propaganda being produced by the pharmaceutical companies. There are so many other corporate industries also who are threatened with extinction with the introduction of medbeds and other advanced technologies. So they're going to be doing their best and hardest, but just through fear propaganda. From what the Alliance have said, they've already hired actors. They've already gone through various scenarios showing an actor going into a medbed, two perfectly normal sized legs and coming out with one that's 2 feet shorter than the other, or maybe coming out with 3 legs or something like that. So it's all fear propaganda. A lot of it will be done through holograms, just completely actors and fake. But it's going to be enough to scare some people, but only for a time until they actually get to see real people walking around who have been through the medbeds. Much of the society as we know it will change after medbeds are introduced. That is a large workforce and a corporate employer threshold who are going to be threatened, and they will try to fight back, even if it is at the beginning. But as success stories flood the media, that's when it all changes. So there is hope for the future on that side. Okay. Initially, military trained personnel will be the ones who are more likely that we will employ. But within a short time, more security personnel will be trained and the threat of harm will lessen. Our centres will be safe havens. And I want you to consider that and think about that. Don't worry about security. Security is important, but safety and safe havens is even more important. And you need to have the peace of mind that you actually feel safe, and everyone else does too. but that it is safe, not the fear of whatever else could be. Sustainability and self-sufficiency. What does your footprint mean? We're nearly done. Your centre needs to have sustainability practices and environmental responsibility as a prime focus. Otherwise, where is our credibility about healing humanity? If we're harming the environment, there's no point. We're hurting ourselves. All staff should receive training in environmental responsibility and sustainable practices. As humanitarians, this is imperative for us all. It is so important. We need to have various self-sufficiency and sustainability strategies. Financial sustainability, and this is also self-sufficiency for the future. We need to have diverse revenue streams. It's beyond all the donations and grants and other revenue. We need to develop revenue generating services. And one idea is specialized treatments and wellness programs. It could be that you might have retail space that you let out, cafes that specialist cafes that you might charge for. Cost management, implementing efficient operational practice and leveraging technology to minimize costs without compromising quality of care. Investment technology, investing in durable and upgradable technology solutions that can adapt to future healthcare needs, ensuring long-term viability and reducing the need for frequent replacements. So we have to be clever about what we're doing. Even though we'll have replicators, we still have to be clever. We have responsibilities. Environmental sustainability, eco-friendly infrastructure. We need to design facilities with green architecture principles, using renewable zero-point energy sources and incorporating sustainable materials to minimize environmental impact. Doesn't that sound great? But we do need to do it. Waste. I'm just going to move this fellow. Go away. Can't read my top line. Might help. No, sorry.
Waste reduction
removal, I
programs?
think. Yeah, I can't. I keep getting, all of the audio video participants chat comes along the top. Okay, so there we go. Waste reduction programs, implementing comprehensive waste management and recycling programs to reduce the ecological footprint of healthcare operations. Community gardens and green spaces, plus promoting self-sufficiency for us and our community. We need to promote health and sustainability through integrating community gardens, which contribute to the environmental health and provide therapeutic spaces for patients and staff. They make it nice. Edible gardens can assist in providing food for on-site kitchens. So one thing that I'm doing with my project is biophilic design. So biophilic is actually, it's a whole different concept. What it is actually designing a space where the people, the inhabitants who are going to be there, actually feel their best. So it's a strange thing. It's a little bit like feng shui, but it's different altogether. So it's just makes you feel good there, and that's the design that I'm actually wanting to do. So biophilic, if you're interested. Okay, social sustainability. Developing programs in partnership with local communities to address their specific health needs, fostering a sense of ownership and mutual benefit. This empowers individuals to take an active role in their health and the health of their environment. Community engagement is developing programs in partnership with local communities to address their specific health needs. So each community is going to have a different need. You need to foster a sense of ownership and mutual benefit. So it's what will work for my area may not work for yours, and vice versa. This is your time to fulfill what you were brought here to do. Let's make a difference. Let's heal the wounds that have been inflicted onto humanity, and let's do it together and with style. And that's me done.
Beautiful, beautiful style. I like that ending. Well done, well done. There's a lot of good content in there, and some of the stuff may well be new to some people, but everything you said is logical. There was nothing that I thought, well, that don't sound right. Well done, well done. I think we're going to get a lot of great responses out of tonight. So I see some hands up already, and guys, that's the way that you'll get your questions answered. Put your hands up, and we'll start with Lee. Come on, Lee.
Have I put him to sleep with the last part?
Oh, sorry, I know what it is. Sorry, guys, I know what it is. I have set the mute all, so I'm going to change the settings now to you only unmute if you've been asked to be called upon. So we're going
I
to.
hope I'm on.
You're on now,
Am I
mate.
on,
Sorry,
Brendan?
brother.
Okay. All good, mate. All good. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Gena, very, very great information. Two questions, if
You.
I may.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter she's only 12. She has spina bifida and fetal alcohol syndrome conditions
Yep.
since birth. She's
Yep.
been operated on. The spine's good. Yeah, all good. Just she starts to wear pull-up pants because she doesn't have the sensation of going to the toilet and everything else, which is really frustrating. That is what
Mm-hmm.
it is. Will this cure that and stay cured for
Yes.
however long? Good.
For
That's
her
one.
life, her lifetime.
Excellent. Yep, excellent. And the other part of the question is, let's just say, and there's people out there who have this situation. You have a partner who's been vaxxed and you're being treated with the Medbed and they don't want to be treated. What happens if you're doing the natural thing at night and everything else? And what happens in that scenario where people are going to want to have the relationships that they do and everything else? How do you I don't know how to word it. How do you bring the best out of them to understand what's happened to you? And are you safe once you've been treated as such?
Yeah. So you're looking for protection. So
Yes. Yeah.
definitely. Okay. So it's not going to matter whether you go into a med bed and they don't, not at all,
Mhm.
because it's completely our choice. And this is the Alliance have said to me so often, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about this because it's important. The Alliance have told me that humans are so special. We're revered and we are given choices. We are given free choice. And I've said to them, why is it that you don't just intervene when you see somebody that's gone rogue, that's whatever? Why don't you just intervene? And they said to me over and over again, they've said, we have free choice and they respect that, but they have a backup plan. So whenever someone does go rogue or something like that, there is always another plan playing out and then another one behind that, just in case whatever it is doesn't happen as it's expected. So they said to me that we have free choice, but they have backup plans. So I think that's kind of interesting. Now, in the situation, the toxicity cleansing stations, every single time that you go through one, all things like the vaccine injuries, all bacteria, parasites, molds, everything will just be removed immediately. It's an easy, straightforward thing. It's just quite beautiful, and it is literally a game changer. So when you go home and you go through one of those, there's really no damage that is going to happen to you because you'd be able to still access access the toxicity cleansing stations quite easily. They will end up being all over the place. Um, the other side of things about it is that your body is going to be so much stronger and resilient than you've probably been since you were a very young person, young boy. So
So you're basically immune as such.
well, your immunity is going to be so good. Sorry, that little noise is my little dog, and he's chasing a ball all over the place here. I'm down in my healing room, and he hasn't had dinner, and I think he's trying to tell me that it's dinner time. So he's chasing the ball to make himself look a little bit wonderful. Sorry. So did I answer your questions?
Yeah, no, excellent. Thank you very much. And yeah, can't wait for it to happen.
That's
Ring is
exciting.
on. Okay, next one is Mapia. If you wouldn't mind unmuting.
Oh, shh. Charlie.
Mapia, you can unmute.
Hi, is it me?
Yes, it is.
Hello from Greece.
So, hello.
I have three questions, if it's possible that Jenna can answer.
Yes.
Um, The one is, is there a way that we can apply for humanitarian projects? And will the Alliance be assisting us or guiding us? How can we create a healing center? And the last one is, if you have any idea, when are the humanitarian projects and the Medbed are going to be available?
Okay. So I'll answer the first one first of all. The big thing with the Alliance right from the beginning have always said to me, no dates. We don't talk about dates. And it's kind of like, but strangely saying that, they often, when somebody calls it, saying that it's going to happen tomorrow or next week, very often I'll go to them and I'll just say, what do you think? And they'll say to me, no, not yet, not within the next 2 weeks, not within the next 2 weeks. And that's what they tell me over and over and over again. And when it's been almost sure that it's going to happen, and, we're really pinning everything on that happening, they've told me, no, not yet. Just got a little bit longer. And they tell me it's close, and they tell me that it's nothing to do with us. It's actually just because of all the political things, the countries, everything, the goalposts keep changing. And so, and each time they change, a wound happens, and then they have to heal that wound, and then they move on. So it's those backup plans continually having to come into play. Becoming a humanitarian, because you're actually on here, and looking at your picture, you look like you've got the hugest heart. So I would say you're definitely a humanitarian without even trying. So all you need to do is find that passion in you, what you want to do. You're certainly welcome to contact me if you'd like to, or Brownie. My Telegram is Blue Sky, so capital BLUE, capital SKIES, and then 00. So Blue Skies 00. That's my Telegram name. So you can contact me and I can chat away to you about this. But Brownie can also do that too. Yeah. He's fabulous. So you literally just have to have an idea of what you want to do. And it's that putting out there that idea, write it all down and figure out what you want to do. And then it's just almost like a natural progression. It's kind of like you've put it out there and you're going to make it happen. So you can have your own funding if you want to. You could collaborate with others. It may be something that actually you can just go and, if you've got funds, talk in the Redemption Centre and be able to work out whether you can use some of them for humanitarian, where other people may assist you and give you funds for that. So funding is the least of your issues. It's just a case of finding that passion in your heart and then going after it.
This is what I've been dreaming for a long time, and I have so many ideas about creating projects and healing center, because here in my country, I believe I am one of the few that has that kind of emotions and ideas about helping the humanity. But it's just that we don't have information about how, when, or someone to guide us about what to do, where to ask. And to tell you the truth, that you are the first one that I hear, and you give so much information about it to us. And I really want to contact you later on after this live. Thank you very much.
But just something that you need to, the best part about all of this is we're global. So we don't actually have to be, you don't have to have a whole network around you. It helps, definitely. But because we're global, you've already got that network already set up. It's pretty fantastic.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a couple of things. One, I've just dropped Gena's handle on Telegram into the chat. Also, Gena does have her own chat room for Medbeds called the Healer's Healer, and I'm just dropping that into the chat as well. Also, I've asked about translations of this recording, and I'm not going to put this just up on Rumble, but I will put it on YouTube as well, because YouTube has the ability to do the translation and also the texting as well. So it will go up, and I don't normally put it on the. Well, I'll probably have to start using the YouTube channel more often now, because now that we're sort of coming to the other side. But yes, I'll have that out there tomorrow on those formats. And also too, a number of people were asking about putting the AI feature on to do the summary. I do it by default anyway, so I'll put the AI summary out tomorrow with the recording as well, so you guys can go through that. It'll be a long one, but yeah, there's no dramas there. I see Osimo from Finland on the call. If you could unmute.
Can
Yes.
I talk?
No,
Hello?
no, we have Osimo from Finland.
Yes, I'm Osmo.
Osmo. Okay.
Osmo.
Excellent.
Helsinki, Finland. Hello, Brownie.
Good to see you, sir.
Yep. And thank you, Gena, for excellent presentation.
Thank you. I'm
you
sorry it
talk
was a
of-
bit long.
No, it's great.
I
that.
don't mind. Gena, you talk about this joint replacement with the prosthesis,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And you said it will take about 3 hours because they can do little by little. My question, can they do both knee and hip in the same treatment?
So what they've told me is that we will do one by one. So with me, I've got a knee problem and I need to have internal organs regrown. So they will be two separate treatments. That's what they've told me, that one by one. And it makes sense to be able to do a lot together, but it also puts a huge strain on our body if having more and more at that same time. So we're better off probably to have a tiny break and let our bodies settle.
Yeah, okay. So if we talk about general healing, does it include the teeth and the hair?
Yes. So teeth, you'll have full set of beautiful teeth. If you've got implants or missing teeth or anything like that, the implants will be replaced with just normal teeth with normal roots and everything that you would have had when you were younger, but they'll be stronger. And because when you think about things that are put in our contaminants that weaken our teeth, and we won't be having the amount of sugar in the future that we have now. So our teeth will be stronger. They'll be naturally stronger. And here, yes, we'll end up with hair that was similar to what you would have been when maybe you were 20, that type of hair.
Oh, okay. So the color will change back to light brown.
Yes, no more gray. The hairdressers are going to hate me. No more gray.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gena. I take the opportunity to say hello to Wolverine at the same time.
Yes.
Keep
It's a double
it coming,
whammy.
brother. Keep it coming.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Reese, you're up next, and then Tina and Bevel. We'll get the Wolverine after that. Go ahead, Reese.
Hi, Gena. Thanks for that. Something that sort of just popped up in my mind, and I was just curious as to how you were going to approach it, and that was the aftercare plan / programming for everybody. Because it's nice to be able to jump on the Medbed and make all these changes. And I understand a lot of them are quite logical, but how are you going to approach that part of it, the aftercare, making sure that they have the knowledge?
So when you consider many people would end up going to a few different allied health services if they had a procedure done, or say it's a diabetic. So the diabetic has problems. He might see a diabetes consultant. He may see a dietitian. There might be a few different ones that be exercise because they may have issues with their circulation, all sorts of things. So after the treatment and they've come out in a perfect state, there is a tiny bit where they might be prone to go back into that old pre-Medbed life. And so that's where we step in with the programs to assist them. So, but there won't be the allied health. I've actually been changing my own project because I've realized that what we really just need is specialist allied health practitioners who can actually do a number of different things. So that one person will be able to handle a lot of things, whether it's audiology, optometry, diabetes, all that kind of thing. So there'll be a particular person who will then take on care of that person afterwards to ensure that they're, whatever it was, the habits that got them into trouble in the beginning, they can try to not allow them to go back into that or stop them, halt them.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just thinking like cultural habits, around cultural foods, etc. Trying to change that culture within you spoke about the indigenous people, trying to change that culture in some indigenous people and remove certain food groups out might be an interesting task. That's all.
I think you'll find it's not so much removing the groups, it's more putting, making them more healthy. So I know with my project, we've got laboratories that are going to make sure that the food that we're growing that is actually out in the community is of the highest standard. So you imagine that you've got a situation like that where somebody is actually eating pure goodness and not all of the stuff that we get now, with glyphosates and everything else in it. They're naturally going to be a healthier person just because they're eating such good food, such wholesome food. So it's not about actually removing their cultural foods. They can probably still have them, but it's just that they're going to be safer.
Okay, we got it.
Does that make sense?
It does. I've got a bit of a background in the health industry, so yeah, just concerned.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
It's something that we really have to look at. And do you feel that the approach of for the having Indigenous elders who actually go in smaller increments, is that how you feel it should go?
I think there's a whole lot of work that will need to be done around it. Because me being Māori, we have certain food groups in our food that technically and culturally we shouldn't really be eating them because they aren't that healthy. Changing that whole culture within a people is going to be an interesting task. Now, whether we get reprogrammed on the bed, not many people are going to ask for that type of programming. I think the thought process around how we approach the reprogramming in our brain will be a major factor in how we move forward. So maybe looking at a standard where we are given the information around nutrition, we are given the information around different food groups because more carbs than proteins than fats, etc., how to balance them out would actually give us a longer and healthier life if we had that knowledge. So that's the sort of side where I'm coming from, in the sense that I think we need to get more education, more learning around dietary.
Yep. But also another really good concern is that, something to think about is our metabolism is going to be just incredible. So you will be able to metabolize those foods that you're saying you shouldn't be eating, and your body will actually be able to do it as if it was a natural thing. So
I understand that. I understand
remove
exactly what you're saying, but you also got to look at the different body types, the different muscle structures. You've got to look at how the body is actually going to adapt. What my metabolism is compared to somebody else's will be totally different. So you've got to understand, when you say you're going to drop 25% of my body mass, well, okay, are we looking at muscle mass, fat mass? What are we actually dropping? How are we actually going to approach it? Especially when you turn around and go, are we going to look at an Olympian body? My theory is, okay, well, then we're going to have to look at muscle mass, muscle growth, fat loss, muscle fibers, whether you want fast twitch, slow twitch, etc., etc. So these conversations are quite in depth around the genetic breakdown.
Every aspect has that many layers. It's incredible when you go into every single aspect. It has multiple layers, but it's also fun and it's intriguing, and I think that there's hope and there's positivity about the fact that we will be in so much better shape. We will be metabolizing everything so much better. We won't be receiving the toxins and the chemicals in our food. There'll be so much, and we'll be active. Our whole
I realize
everything
that.
about us will be
better.
that,
but that's going to take a while, and that's what I mean. Like, if these med beds are just around the corner, that time frame to change our food, to change what chemicals we use, etc., is going to take a time period. So I'm just saying that maybe we need to after the program. I'll let others.
They're all processes. Yeah.
I'll let others carry on. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reese. Tina, if you can unmute, beautiful.
Hello, Gena. Thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation that was, and had so much information in there. I can't wait to get involved with the toxicity stations as well as the med beds for my project. But I was wondering, when we have the scan before we go on the med bed, is it possible to get a printout for how you were before and how you are after? Because my Medbed project is my first project, and then my second project is going to aged care. And so I want to be able to have some paperwork that I can, not only can they see the visual change in me, but they will see it on paper as well, as that might help them, because there's going to be a lot of very programmed people in aged care facilities that have they're going to take a bit of time to get them to. So I would want to shift them from the aged care facility to my Medbed project to help them go through that, and then also take particular care about looking after them with the counsellors after their session. And then they might go back to the nursing home just while we work on, right now, what do you want to do? And this is another way I'll be finding the volunteers, because some of them might want to come out to the project and volunteer out there. Some might want to stay where they are. So yeah, it's opened up a lot of questions. So do you think they'd do that before and after paperwork?
Definitely. You can, with this, it's advanced technologies, but it's all very basic as well. It's logical technologies, but they're advanced. So yes, definitely, you can always get the before and afters. From what I understand, you can get copies of everything, literally, but also in a way that they'll understand it as well. So it makes it basic. Something that I feel is that what's going to happen is that the ones in aged care facilities will end up probably moving back into the retirement villages, and the retirement villages will move back into community, just normal homes, apartments and things like that. I think it's almost going to be like a stepping thing backwards. Like they've got there, they're going to just go backwards.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to do. I want to set up my project and then go to the aged care facilities and help use the aged care facility to help transition them into the project, so that they can have, with no fear, go into there with no fear, is what I'm looking for. So yeah, that's a good idea with the paperwork. That will help. It's just giving them some, because I've worked in aged care, so there's a particular aged care place that I'm looking at, and I know the staff that's there, and I know which ones to incorporate, and so it's looking good. And I just want to help them, because I don't feel we should be leaving them behind, and I don't feel that there will be any aged care in the future. It'll disappear, because we'll all be healthy.
It will disappear.
Yeah,
it will.
Thank you so much, Gena. That was
that's all right.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank
Beautiful. Now we're going to talk to Wolvie, and for once it's not about the RV. Wolvie, go ahead.
Hi, Gena. Hi. Good to see you. I haven't heard from you for quite a while. It's been a long time. I'd just like to congratulate you on the incredible Zoom call that you've done, and the incredible news that you brought to the masses here. And I'm sure that that Greg will actually put that recording out to the masses, so and all the people that missed out. So it's valuable information for your people. The incredible information that's come out. I do want to ask Gena a couple of questions, if she doesn't mind. There are a couple. Now, you said about age regression, Gena. You said that 10 or 15 years. Now, are we talking about also about people that are over 80 that have dementia? Because these people don't know sometimes where they are. If we're talking about 10 years, that's not enough for them. I would like, actually, especially my mum, to go back at least about 30 years or 40 years, if that's possible. I want her life back. I want her to have a second chance in this planet and do the things that she always wanted when she was younger. Is that possible for these people that are actually over that age limit, that when their bodily functions are not functioning properly, especially the mind.
So, Bill, there's actually a lot of reassurance for this because she, in that very first initial medbed, the diagnostic and the first treatment medbed, will remove all dementia. So that will remove, so it doesn't matter about her age. So she could still be 85, 88, she could still be whatever she is now, but have no dementia and actually feel amazing. Be back to what you used to know her as. That's the wonderful part about this. But with the age regression, so she would be able to go back. Well, 30 years is quite doable. 45 is probably not, because what they're saying is that there's a lot of there's layers of everything from your society acceptance, your family acceptance, your own acceptance. So that's where that technology will actually ascertain with the person for that third regression whether or not they really are a decent candidate for that, or whether it's going to harm them by going back. So she could go back 30 years. So the first 15 years is pretty much guaranteed to her anyway. And then the second 15 years she probably would get, but it's just she's got to apply for it. And because of her age, she's more assured of getting it. Or if she had a role to do, she'd definitely be assured of getting it. The third one, it starts to get hard because it just has complications.
Right. When you say complications, what do you mean by complications?
So complications in the way that her brain might cope with being 45 years younger. So so how old is she now?
She's 85 this year.
85. Okay. So
next month.
Yeah. So if she goes back the 15 years, or we'll make it 30 years, because she'd be able to probably get the 30 years because of her age. So that's going to drop her to 55. So if she went back another 15 years, she's going to drop to 40. So as a 40-year-old who's originally been 85, that's a huge difference. It's just huge. And so
Absolutely.
the complications I'm meaning are it's her ability to be able to assimilate back into society. It's all of, there's a lot of things that would need to be taken into consideration. And that's where the technology can actually work out whether it is a desire of the person to truly do that, or whether they are putting themselves at risk, because you can't go back. So once you've gone, we can't come forwards. Once you've gone back, you can't come forwards. So you stay at that level and then you age from there.
Right.
But you can at a later time in the future, you will be able to just keep doing that. But it won't be in huge increments. There will be increments where we are safely put back into that life.
Okay. Going on that same topic, sorry, Gena, with the age regression thing, you said that when they remove dementia, she'll be back normal as she was before, and we're talking about bodily function, bone density, and all that, or would she have that bone density as an 85-year-old and have all those ailments as an 85-year-old?
So she will lose her dementia and all that sort of thing. Her eyes will be better. Her hearing will be better. Her hair, skin, everything like that will be better. Her bones will be stronger. She won't have the arthritis. She won't have the pain. She won't walk with a problem. All of that will happen, but she will be classed as an 85-year-old at that point. But her body will be much younger in realistic terms, because when you have pain, when you have dis-ease, not disease, but dis-ease, it ages you very quickly. So you remove all of that and your body automatically, people look young. It's like when you see a child or someone who's medicated, heavily medicated, they have almost like an innocent look on their face. And a lot of that is because they're kind of like, even though they might have terrible things going on, the medications are making them more at peace.